back to the Dhamma again now. Let's see what we have for tonight. Okay. Question number 1. To associate with good people, to listen to the true teaching, somehow one requires a certain understanding of how good people and true teachings are like. If one doesn't have such understanding, it could be a catch-22 for them, question mark. Does it mean that they are doomed, or they can only rely on chance that they happen to bump into good people and true teachings? Well, this is precisely the problem, that sometimes you haven't got the basic things right to really be able to recognize true teachings and good people. And are you doomed? Well, I'm not sure if you're doomed, but it's going to be difficult for you. It's going to be much harder. And there's a lot of people in the world who can give them as many Buddhist teachings as you like, and they're not really going to listen or be interested. If you are committed to the idea of a creator God, and you are a committed Christian or whatever, even if you try to tell them that Buddhism might have something to offer, often they will not be interested, because you have a kind of prior commitment. So that is a problem. So the point is really that things change from one life to the next one. So maybe the next life, they might be more open, or maybe another down the line. But it also works the other way around. You might be open to the Buddhist teachings in this life, and then because of adverse, bad conditions down the track, suddenly next life, it's closed off for you. And this is kind of one of the problems of this path, is that you have to use the opportunity when it's there, and to do make as much out of this possibility now that you have it. Otherwise, you just don't know what's going to happen around the corner. These things are really kind of dodgy. And as you say, it's a bit of a catch-22, because sometimes you don't even get started because of this. And sometimes, even if you bump into good people, or you bump into good teachings, still it doesn't work. You bump into them and you reject them. Like that Upaka I was telling you about the other day, who even met the Buddha, and then after meeting the Buddha, he kind of just wandered off in the wrong direction. This is kind of it's terrible, but that's kind of the reality of things sometimes. Okay, there's heaps of questions today, so I'm going to go a little bit faster than usual. You said that we don't have free will. Did the Buddha have free will? Was the Buddha conditioned to be a Buddha? And basically the answer is yes. I didn't quite say that we don't have free will. I say it is a little bit uncertain whether there might be a residue of free will or not, but essentially the will is, we can know, just through our experience, that the will is heavily conditioned. It's pretty obvious, how we are always doing things according to habits, according to the way we were brought up, according to all of these things. It's pretty obvious when you think about it. Whether it is 100% conditioned or not is a kind of almost philosophical question. It doesn't really matter so much. What matters is that the will is mainly conditioned. So there is another way of thinking about free will, which actually is very interesting, because the biggest problem is that we are limited by the hindrances and the defilements of the mind. Because you are limited, because you are constrained by ill will, by desires, by delusion, because we're walking around in darkness, there are lots of choices you cannot make simply because of that constraint from the defilements. If you have a lot of desires and ill will, there's no way you're going to be able to choose to get into a jhana state, for example. There's no way you're going to be able to choose to act from absolute purity and all of these kind of things. So we are constrained by the defilements. And this is this is a better way of thinking about free will, is that we want to liberate the mind from these constraints. Take away those defilements, take away the 5 hindrances, and suddenly the universe opens up, and then suddenly you have access to happinesses. You can now choose deep meditation if you want to. You have access to that sort of deep meditation that you didn't have before, because you have removed the constraints, the things that block the mind from getting anywhere. This is kind of how I would look at freedom. Freedom of the will is the ability to choose what is truly good, to be able to choose what truly makes you happy. This is another way of looking at it. But back to your question, Did the Buddha have free will then? Basically, why does a Buddha arise in the world? The Buddha arises in the world because the conditions are right. Yeah, in ancient India you had a society that supported people who went forth, people who practiced meditation. There was already a movement of ascetics who practiced samadhi, for example. So samadhi was already available. If you remember the Buddha, before his awakening, he went to the two teachers, Alara Kalama and Uddhacharama Buddha, and he practiced samadhi. So he already had access to samadhi. And this is like the critical thing that you need to access to be able to have insight. Yeah? So a lot of the path was already there. And of course that would have been made it possible to break through and to become a Buddha. But if you had grown up in our modern society, much more difficult. Yeah, if you grow up in Hong Kong, it's not so easy to be a samana in Hong Kong. It's quite hard, especially in the ancient Indian way, where you just go into the forest, you practice at the root of a tree, you go into the village in the morning and collect alms. It's very hard to do that in a place like Hong Kong. Even in Perth, very hard to do that. Maybe you can still do it in India, but there's not that many places you can do this. So certain conditions have to be in place, and then a person arrives, a person who has the right qualities, which they have developed more or less by accident, not necessarily through free will, and then all these things come together, and then bang, and you get one person who arrives at this insight. This is my understanding of the Buddha. It's kind of I don't know if other people share that understanding. I haven't asked, I haven't kind of done a survey of this, but this is how I regard the arising of a Buddha in the world. That's what it's called in the sutras. The Buddha kind of comes into being, and anyway, let's go on to the next one. If we don't have free will, okay, this is going to be the major one today. If we don't have free will, does it mean that we are conditioned to join this meditation camp? Don't we have our own will to choose to come here? I can imagine that even what we choose and how we choose may also be conditioned. If so, how is this different from fatalism? Please enlighten me on this. Okay, so, well, obviously, it's obvious that a lot of conditions went into your ability to come to this little retreat. Yeah? Obviously, you had to have some connection with Biff. You had to know about this retreat. That's one condition. You have to have some kind of inclination towards meditation and spiritual practice. A lot of things have to come together. The vast majority of the population in Hong Kong would never be interested in coming here, because the conditions weren't right. So that's obvious. You have to have a free time. You have to be able to, whatever it is, all these things have to work out. And then in the end, then whether you decide or not, well then, if there's a little bit of free will there, most of the conditions already have to be in place for you to be able to do this. So how is this different from fatalism? And the idea, one of the, in European, this is kind of European philosophy, the idea of fatalism or determinism is that your will has no effect on outcomes. The universe works according to a certain clockwork. The universe is kind of started by God, and then it works according to a schedule. And whatever we do as human beings has no effect on the universe. As we walk around, we do things, but it's all kind of preconditioned. And whether you do A or you do B, it's predetermined before you get born whether you're going to go to hell or whether you're going to go to heaven. This is Calvinist doctrine. It's kind of the most pessimistic of all doctrines. And so the question, what is the purpose of life? The purpose of life is to find out whether you are predetermined to go to hell or whether you're predetermined to go to heaven. That's the purpose of life. But you are predetermined before you're born. I don't know how anyone could get away with that kind of doctrine. It sounds really terrible, but that's kind of the thing, how they were philosophizing at that time. This was back in the 17th century in Europe. I don't know a lot about these things because I'm certainly no expert, but you pick up a few things on the way. So that's fatalism, But in Buddhism, we say that our will matters. The will may not be free, but what we choose actually matters. So will has an effect on what happens in our life. And this is what karma, for example, is about. Yeah? If you choose the right thing, you feel happy. If you choose the wrong thing, you feel bad about things. If I, drop these pair of glasses in the wrong place, they may shatter or something. Yeah? Or that is obviously, whether you do it or not, that will have an effect on the world. So it is not fatalism in the kind of usual sense of the word. It is a broader kind of understanding of how the world functions. But you don't have to buy into this. You don't have to accept, the idea that there is no free will anyway. Just look at whether the will is determined to a large extent or not. That is the critical issue. Because if the will is largely determined, we are still largely following a program written in the past. We're still largely acting out our habits, acting out our conditioning. And that is the main point. Because that means that there is scope for forgiveness. When people are just acting it out, or 95% acting it out, the more you understand the nature of mind, the more you get used to this, the more you see how conditioned you are. You have some 99% or whatever. And then forgiveness becomes possible. This is the beautiful thing about this. So it's actually an important understanding here. In the suttas, the Buddha says, in the Anatlakana Sutta, it's all about the characteristics of non-self. And according to the characteristics of non-self, you cannot have your will to be this way or your will to be that way. Yeah? In other words, your will is set by conditions. It's not your choice whether you're going to will this or will that. The Buddha says that in Anatlakana Sutta. And that is basically, if it isn't a lack of free will, it certainly comes very close to that. Okay. Dear Ajahn, just want to know why normally we practitioners wear white. Is there any particular reason or tradition which we need to follow? Thank you. This is an ancient tradition. Not that many people wear white here. We have one over there. With some people have a little bit of white, kind of a token white. So this is the ancient tradition going back to the time of the Buddha. All the way back to the time of the Buddha, people wore white. Yeah, when they, as a sign of purity, I suppose. Yeah, when you're white, is kind of the mind is bright, you wear white. It's a sign of purity. It means that you are upholding certain spiritual teachings and practicing in a certain way. So at least you are white for a while until your clothes get really dirty after a while, because white gets dirty very quickly. So this is one of the things about being an anagarika. One of the worst things about being an anagarika and a monk, you have to wear white all the time. You have to wash these clothes, you have to wash them and re-wash them, and the slightest mistake, and you kind of, you spoil those beautiful white clothes. But it is an ancient tradition. It goes back to the time of the Buddha. When you go to Buddhist countries, like very strongly traditional Buddhist countries like Sri Lanka or Thailand, you go there, people wear white on the Uposatha days. I've been to Sri Lanka many times, and Thailand as well. I've given talks in Sri Lanka. I give talks in a place called the BMICH, which is a big convention center in Colombo. And sometimes there's I think the talks, 2,000 people easily come to some of these talks. Yeah, and because this is a Buddhist country, so everyone comes to listen to the talk. And then you look up, and there's a sea of white. Everyone is wearing white. It is very beautiful. Yeah, it's very, very nice. And everyone comes there on the Uposatha day to wear white. And it's kind of gives a very nice feeling to the place. You get this feeling that everyone is practicing a spiritual teaching. That's what you get, this feeling you get when you're there. So this is the background. So this is a very ancient Buddhist tradition, and also probably other religions also have a similar tradition. Do you have to follow it? You don't have to. It's really up to you. Yeah, it's unless Della says you have to wear white, in that case you definitely have to wear white, because otherwise you get into serious trouble. But apart from that, you can basically, we're pretty relaxed these days, so whatever you feel is appropriate, really. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned this morning that 5-day retreat is short. We couldn't agree more. If your schedule allows, would you consider giving a longer retreat? Hong Kong people need the Dhamma. Thank you. Everyone needs the Dhamma. Yeah, Hong Kong people are no different from anyone else. This is just kind of, and right now, Hong Kong people might be more open to the Dhamma because of all the problems, yeah? Problems are always a good time to teach Dhamma. Am I open to considering, I'm open to anything except that Ajahn Brahmāli may not be open to it, yeah? I have to go to Ajahn Brahmāli and I have to say, oh, they want me to come back to Hong Kong next year. Oh yeah, he says, are you sure? Are you, prove it. Well, they really want to have you come back next year. Ajahn Brahmāli is a tough. He's very soft on the surface, but he can be very tough as well sometimes. And he's a very strong person, yeah, very, very strong. He's very gentle, but strong at the same time. So it really depends. It depends more on Ajahn Brahmāli than it depends on me. He has to. The problem is that in Perth we have a lot of commitments as well. We have to give talks every Friday on the weekend, and we have retreats going on in Perth, and we have a long travel schedule to all kind of places: Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, England, Germany, Hong Kong. You name it. It's kind of there's a lot of traveling and things going on, and sometimes you just want to cut down on the travel slip instead of actually adding to them. So it's actually quite hard sometimes to actually fit everything in there, and this is one of the main problems. But in principle, I'm open to anything really, to be honest. Okay. Speak to Dela. It's really up to them. Speak to Dela and Gerald. They are the kind of the bosses here. Who's the real boss, Gerald?
She's the boss.
Yeah. Speak to Ajahn Brahmāli. He's not going to tell you anything. You know what he's like. He's not going to say anything. He's going to kind of, oh yeah, whatever, and then he's going to fly off. You're not the wiser. Anyway, Ajahn Brahmāli is too smart to make the commitments. Okay, you're talking about people should stop doing and not making choices. If people stop doing, how can we have improved our life quality from primitive standards to a better standard? If one stops doing, how does one earn a living? In daily life, we have to make choices, either to come or not to come to this retreat. So how can we not make the choice? Did I misunderstand you? It's not about not making choices. Yeah, you make choices. You keep on making choices. That it's not going to make you enlightened just to stop making choices. What's going to make you enlightened is to reduce delusion and eliminate delusion. When you eliminate delusion, that will affect your choices. But your work, your job is not to stop making choices. Your job is to eliminate delusion. So you meditate, you see what happens. And then what happens is that as you become wiser, you start choosing less. You go more with the flow. It's just a natural outcome. You don't make it happen. It's a natural outcome of things. If you look at someone like Ajahn Brahmāli, he doesn't make many choices very often. He just kind of hangs out there. And very often you feel a bit frustrated. You ask him a question, he doesn't give you a straight answer. He says, oh yeah, whatever, yeah, okay, we'll see what happens, yeah. Not wrong day to ask, come back later. And you come back next week, you say, oh, you said come back later. Oh, they done? Okay, come back later again. This is like Ajahn Brahmāli. Actually, it's a great lesson because you have to be really patient and you have to go with the flow. And he never says it with any bad qualities. Yeah, it's always coming from gentleness and kindness. So it's not really an issue. So the one time you should really not make any choices is in your meditation practice. In your meditation practice, don't do anything. Just relax. Just go with the flow. Allow things to flow along. Then it becomes so easy and so beautiful that your mind starts to calm down. One of the biggest problems, biggest mistakes people do in meditation practice is to start watching the breath straight away. You sit down, you grasp hold of the breath, and then things become unpleasant. You become a bit tense, you can't really relax. Yeah? So go more with the flow. Don't try so hard to meditate. Just enjoy the peace, enjoy the tranquility. Wait for the breath to come to you. Don't go looking for the breath. The breath is like always there in the background. Yeah? Even if you don't do anything, it's kind of there. Just allow it to be there. Don't do anything with it. And as you relax, the breath becomes more powerful, more easy to watch. And sometimes it becomes incredibly focused on the breath. Then you're doing the breath meditation. So be very, very gentle in meditation. Have a sense of kindness and care for these things. Don't force it. And that is certainly where you shouldn't make any choices. But in daily life, make choices. Yeah, carry on as before. Make better choices. Make choices with kindness. Make choices with gentleness. Make choices out of compassion. All of these things. Then you're heading on the right way. First of all, we need to build up the sila, build up the good qualities inside. Yeah, this is the first thing. And then when you build up the sila, then the meditation starts to bite. When the meditation really bites, then you get insight. And then this dependent origination starts to happen. Your delusion is going down. You're making less choices. That's when it happens. But at this point, you're almost enlightened anyway. Yeah? It's not going to affect the vast majority of people in the world. We're still going to have progress in society because most people are not going to be doing this. There's not going to be a problem. You still get out of being primitive, as you say, and becoming more advanced. Maybe we should be a bit more primitive anyway. Maybe being primitive is good. That's what I reckon. You know, at the time of the Buddha, they were much more primitive than they are now, and maybe it was better. Maybe being so advanced, I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? Good, bad, who knows? It's hard to say, really. Yeah. Sometimes, if you have a Buddha in the world, maybe it needs more primitive conditions. Anyway, you know, these things are difficult questions to answer. Yeah. So, next one. Okay, there is a theory that if one laughs wholeheartedly enough, one can laugh away one's cancer. Do you agree? Oh, actually, this comes further down, okay, I understand. But some say that crying has the same effect. If one cries wholeheartedly enough, one can cry away one's cancer. Do you agree? So you're asking, should you cry or should you laugh? Is that what you're asking? So, the point here is that it all depends. Yeah, it depends on what kind of cancer it is. Some kind of cancers cannot be cured regardless of what you do. They can only be, actually they can be cured. They can only be cured by dying. Yeah, once you die, it's cured. No more cancer, guaranteed. At least for a while until it comes back again. This is and that's kind of life. Yeah, the body dies, you kind of carry on. Death is not the big issue. How we live is the big issue. But really, the way that, you know, as I mentioned the other day, the way that cancers or any illness often works is you have a soft heart if you're kind. Maybe that's what they mean by laughing here, yeah? When you laugh, usually you're happy, yeah? Usually you relax, you're at ease. Actually, you're calming things down. You don't have ill will to the cancer anymore. And sometimes that may be able to cure the cancer. If you cry wholeheartedly, I guess it depends how you cry. Yeah, somebody said to me the other day they had some pity. They had so much pity, so much happiness, they started crying. And this is one of the things that happens in meditation practice. If you have enough happiness, you cry. So if it's that kind of crying, wonderful, it's going to work. Yeah. Or it may work, or it may not work. Depends on the situation. So it's uncertain. Yeah. Don't rely on these things. Rely instead on the Dhamma. Rely on the fact that we all will get sick, we will all die. That is much more certain. That really is certain. We will all get sick and die. And use that in your practice to remind yourself that every moment matters. Every time you do something could be the last time you see someone. And what if now is the last time I see you? Am I going to treat you well, or am I going to treat you in a bad way? I'm going to treat you well. It's the last time I see you. How can I treat people badly if it's the last time I see you? This is the thing. You use the idea, instead of fighting the illness and thinking you're going to carry on, remember this could be the last time. And then you actually change your attitude to the present moment. You become a different person because of that. This is how you do things. So you use this contemplation in a positive way instead of always trying to get out of the problem. This is all about trying to get out of the problem. You can't get out of the problem. But even if you can for a while, another problem will come instead. Even if the demonstrations stop in Hong Kong, something else will take its place. It might be worse. It might be better. It might be, who knows what it might be. But guaranteed, there will be another problem. This is the real problem, that there's more problems. Yeah, it's never ending. This is kind of the issue. This is the real issue. So instead of trying to solve things, trying to think that there is a way out, accepting that the world is inherently imperfect, always problematic, it drives you in a new direction. You start to look at the world from a spiritual perspective instead. That is the whole point of this. You start to look at your inner qualities. How can I be a more spiritual person? How can I develop the one thing over which I have some control, which is my inner life? I can control my inner life to some extent. Even that is hard enough because it is so, the conditions and habits are so strong that at least there is some degree of effect. I can affect things to some extent. But the external world, forget it. Yeah, there's 7 billion people on this planet. You are one against 7 billion. It's not going to work. It's not going to go very far. All the cause and conditions. So much this is what wisdom is about, accepting the reality. Do what you can. If you get ill, if you have cancer, laugh, yeah, to make it go away, or cry if you think that's better. Do these things if they work, if you think they work, and maybe it will help, but maybe it won't. Then you have the right attitude. Okay. Oh, okay, it's going to be a long night, so let's get on with these questions. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned rebirth into different realms. Can you give us a brief introduction of the 6 realms and the corresponding karma resulting in these realms? Thank you. So traditionally, Buddhism is divided into a number of kind of realms, yeah, or number of levels, or number of planes, or whatever you want to call it, that kind of correspond to the main divisions of karma. But I don't think they are so important. Yeah, this is kind of an ancient Indian way of doing things. I'm not sure if these realms are permanently like this, or sometimes they may merge, or they may change, or they may be different, or whatever. But this is like a kind of a convenient way of thinking of karma. Yeah, so in Buddhism we have like 3 lower realms, and we have the human realm, and then we have the kind of Devaloka above that, the heavenly realms. And sometimes we have the 4 lower realms because the asuras are put in there, but that is controversial. Yeah, so straight away, you know, you have controversy when it comes to these realms. It's always kind of uncertain. In the suttas, the asuras seem to belong to the Devaloka. In the commentaries, they belong to the lower realms. So who knows what is true? Anyway, so the main point here is that if you do bad karma, yeah, you can get reborn in the lower realms. And the 3 lower realms are, first of all, ghost realm. Yeah, so if you see these are people, suddenly you get reborn. Oops, I'm a ghost. Gee, don't want to be a ghost, but too late, you're a ghost. Animal realm, yeah, is worse than the ghost realm. People often don't get this. And as soon as animal realm is below the ghost realm, animal realm is very unpleasant because you have no intelligence, yeah, you have no wisdom, you are trapped in this animal body. The vast majority of animals are in terrible states, like mosquitoes and flies and worms or whatever. Imagine being reborn as a little worm. And then you have one life lasts so short, and then you get reborn as a worm again straight away, and you do this 1,000,000 times. And it's very unpleasant. And then below the animal realm, you then have the hell realms. So these are the realms. Now, these realms, of course, are impermanent. They only last for a while, and this is why you kind of, you know, eventually you get out of these things again. But these realms are, to be reborn in the hell realm, we have to be pretty bad. You have to do a lot of bad things in this life. And the chances of anyone here being reborn in hell, I would say, is almost 0, unless you turn into a triad member tomorrow, and you start doing really bad things tomorrow morning, and from then on, just do bad things the rest of your life. Then maybe you have a chance to be reborn in hell. Apart from that, chances are very, very small. You have hatred is one of the main things that drive you to hell. Yeah, hatred, anger, and then acting it out towards other people. Animal realm is more the realm of delusion. That's why animals don't have much intelligence. Yeah, they are deluded. They don't really know what's going on. So if you are a very deluded person, you don't really understand. You have no idea what is right and wrong. You're kind of confused, and everything is kind of really unclear. And you believe in all kind of crazy conspiracy theories that the reptiles are running the universe and that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you're really heavily deluded, that is where the animal realm tends to arise. And again, it takes a lot of bad karma to be reborn as a mosquito or anything like that. Yeah, the chances of being reborn as that are very, very small. Ghost realm is not quite as bad. One of the main things you get reborn as a ghost is greed. Greed is one of the main driving factors for being reborn in the ghost realm. That's why very often it is said, there was a famous Thai Ajahn who said that when he traveled to America, he went to people's houses and there were always ghosts everywhere. Apparently he could see ghosts. And he said the reason was because America, very materialistic society, actually now the whole world is materialistic now, America is probably any worse than anywhere else, but this was maybe back in the 60s, and Thailand was still quite a simple country, and all these ghosts everywhere, because people were attaching to their houses. They had greed, they couldn't let go when they died, and so they hung on to the houses, trying to live there, even though they were ghosts, yeah? You're a ghost, let go, don't hold on to your house, you can't live there anymore. Oh yeah, maybe you have a point. No, but so what should we do in this kind of situation? Well, if someone is a ghost, don't tell them you're a ghost, yeah? Go away, because that's like being harsh. Remember that all of these beings, wherever you are reborn, you are suffering. Yeah? Especially if you get reborn in the lower realms, it's very unpleasant. Imagine finding yourself to be a ghost, and you're trying to hold on to your house, but you can't really hold on because you don't have that ability anymore. You're now in a parallel realm. You can sort of still see your house, but you can't really use it properly. It's like a desperate situation. You know, you have all this craving, but you can't really satisfy it. This is the ghost realm. So when we remember this, instead of being afraid of the ghosts, have compassion for them. These are beings that suffer. So if you think that there is a ghost in your house, and one of the things that we do a lot as Buddhist monks, we do a lot of ghost busting. Yeah? So if we fail as Buddhist monastery, we can go take a second career as Ghostbusters. We can make Ghostbuster 4 or whatever movie or something. So how do we do that? The way to do ghost busting is not to do busting at all. You don't bust, you don't kind of use violence or anger or ill will towards ghosts. Never do that. Always use kindness. Okay, ghost. Thank you for hanging around. Send the ghost some metta. Do a bit of chanting for the ghost. Close your eyes together. May you be happy, ghost, wherever you are now. May you be well in your new existence. Yeah. Now, please carry on and move to the neighbor house instead. Don't say that. Yeah. This is a secret. This is how monks get a lot of donations. Yeah, you go to one house, you bust the ghost there. Oh, thank you so much. We give you large donation. You make the ghost move next door. Then you do the same thing in the next door house. Then another large donation next door. You keep on going like that. Don't tell anyone. This is secret monk's business. This is how you build a big monastery. Yeah, this is how you. No, this is not how you build a big monastery. It's actually completely different. But anyway, so actually there was a story about that. And this is why it came to me, because there was a story that was told by one of the famous monks in Malaysia, who you may have heard about. You know Dr. Kesri Dhammananda? Have you heard about him? Yeah, very famous Sri Lankan monk originally, but he lived in Malaysia for a long time. There was a story with him apparently where they did that. They busted the ghost, and the ghost just moved next door. Then they had to go busting the next door. But it wasn't on purpose. They didn't do it just to get donations. It's just what happened, yeah? And they had to go the whole street. They had to kind of follow one house after the other and bust the ghost for everyone. And eventually the ghost moved into a new neighborhood or whatever, yeah? So disappeared altogether. Or maybe it moved into the Muslim neighborhoods and they didn't have to worry about it, I'm not sure. Because Muslims don't invite Buddhist monks. Maybe they do. Maybe there are some Muslims who invite Buddhist monks. This is one of the interesting things when you travel in various countries. Yeah, you travel, for example, to places like Indonesia. Indonesia, the Muslims are very open. You give a talk in Indonesia, and all these Muslims come to your talk, and they ask you questions about meditation. Oh, how am I supposed to meditate? Yeah, and it's obvious they almost feel like Buddhists, but they can't really convert, because conversion, actually you can in Indonesia. You're allowed to convert if you want to. You don't have to be a Muslim. That's kind of nice. Yeah, we have more openness in some countries. In other countries, it's very much more difficult. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So all of these realms, yeah, this is the ghost realm. The ghost realm is not so bad, but still very unpleasant. Then you have the human realm. You know what that is like, right? Yeah, it's like this. This is the human realm. Okay, yeah. Okay. So the human realm, some good, mostly good, but quite a bit of bad as well. The human realm is on the good side, but the very lowest that is on the good side. There's a lot of problems in the human realm, as you are all noticing all the time, probably. Yeah. Then you have above the human realm, you have all these various heavenly realms. Yeah, and again, I don't really like to focus too much on this because this is ancient mythology. Whether it's always like this or not, it's kind of very hard to say. But traditionally speaking, the 6 heavenly realms belonging to the sensual world, where you still, sensual world means that you're still experiencing hearing, sights, and these kind of things, yeah? And they're going up, ascending upwards, higher and higher. You have the famous god Sakka. Sakka was the god of the Tavatimsa heaven, the gods of 33, 2 realms up, according to this classification. And he was supposed to be a stream entry, and he's probably still there. Yeah, so if you ever get reborn in a heavenly realm, get reborn in Tavatimsa Loka, your boss is a stream entry. That's quite nice, isn't it? Not many bosses in the world are stream entries. So, I don't know if you have any stream entry bosses at work, but they're quite rare. Yeah, you almost have to become a monastic to get a stream entry boss. Some monasteries you have stream entry bosses, or arahant bosses even. But even in monasteries they're quite rare. You have to choose your monastery carefully. Yeah. And here it is, heavenly realm. People often say, oh, I don't want to be born in heavenly realm because if I get reborn in heavenly realm, maybe I can't practice or whatever. Yeah. I don't know where that idea comes from, because the Buddha never says that. If you get reborn Tavatimsa Loka, you get to hang out with the noble ones, because noble ones that's where they get reborn, these kind of heavenly realms. So I would try to force yourself to get reborn as a human being. I think being reborn as a god is quite nice. Yeah, it's quite cool. You have more happiness. Don't have to worry too much about those things. So then you have all the other heavenly realms, up and up, higher and higher. You have the Nimitta-rati Loka, which is the second highest of the sensual world, where people enjoy creation. Nimitta is to create, Rati is delight, you delight in creation. And then you have the one above that is called the Pada-nimitta Vasarati realm. It means those who control the creation of others. Yeah? So these are the control freaks in the universe. That is where Mara is supposed to live. Yeah? Mara, control freak in charge, number 1 in the universe. He lives, supposed to be he's supposed to have one corner of the Paranimitta Vasavati. That's where all the Maras are. Yeah, they're kind of trying to stop people getting enlightened and these kind of things. And then in between there you have the lowest realm is just for your information if you're interested. Again, I don't think it matters that much. Sometimes we talk too much about these things. You have the realm of the 4 great kings, the Chatru Maharajika realm. Yeah, and you have the Tavatimsa realm, which is the one where Sakka is, and you have the Yama realm. And as we go up these, people become more and more contented and happy. Then you have the Tusita realm. Tusita is where Tusita literally means content. Yeah, that's where you are contented. Meditation becomes deeper and deeper as you go up. Then you have this Nimitta-rati and then Paranimitta Vasavati realm. And above that, you have the Brahma Lokas. So above that are the realms that relate to the jhana states. Yeah. And the lower ones of those, you still have access to ordinary, you can still speak, you can still talk, because they're on the borderline between jhana and ordinary existence. Not all of those beings are in jhana yet. But the higher up you go in these realms, the more the beings are in jhana all the time. So there's lots of different realms. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 realms relating to the first jhana, 3 or 4 to the second, 3 to the second, 3 to the third, 2 to the fourth, I think. And then there is a very interesting realm called the Asanya Satta. Are you interested in all these things? Am I just talking? Yeah. And then you have the Asanya Satta. The Asanya means literally without perception, the beings without perception. So like you're like a rock or something in this particular realm. Yeah? No perception. It's almost like you're dead for a while. Yeah? And then you come out afterwards and you have no idea what happened there. And then beyond that, we have the realms that correspond to the immaterial attainments, yeah, the very, very high degrees of samadhi beyond that. And then you have also the realms that are called the pure abodes. So the pure abodes, these are realms where you get reborn if you're an anagami. Anagami, you have the 4 grades of noble disciples, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahant. If you become an anagami, and you don't go into a jhana when you die, you get reborn in these realms called the pure abodes. Everything is very pure and beautiful. No ill will, no desire. You hang out there for a few eons, and then you enter paranirvana just straight from there. Yeah, so this is kind of various possibilities. There's probably many more as well. This is kind of a rough sketch of the various possibilities. And within these realms, there's lots of variety, just like the human realm, yeah? This is called the human realm, but there's so much variety in this human realm. It's so vast. And if you get reborn in some of these other realms, they're equally vast. There's a lot of variety within these realms. So, okay, so that is a guided tour to the various realms. Actually, there was a monk apparently, this was a story I heard maybe 20 years ago. There was one of the monks that came to our monastery, and he told us this story that there was a monk in Thailand, and he would get people to sit meditation with him, yeah? And he said that if you meditate with me, I will take you on a real guided tour to these realms. So he would get people to meditate, yeah? They would all kind of get into some kind of samadhi together. I guess those who couldn't get samadhi, that didn't have a chance, but those who got into some samadhi, then he would kind of communicate with them somehow and take them all on a tour down to the hell realms, to the ghost realms, up to the heavenly realms. I think that's true. I don't know. I think I'm very skeptical about these things. It's kind of an interesting idea, yeah, that you kind of take people on a tourist tour. We think that the tourism is limited to this planet. Of course, it turned out to be completely wrong. Tourism is much broader than that, probably much more interesting than that. I wonder how much they have to pay to go on those tours. I'm not sure. Okay, whoa, time is going so fast. Okay, next question. Dear Ajahn, why should we practice meditation and practice Buddhism? Thank you very much. What is Buddhist meditation? Thank you very much, Ajahn. Okay, why you should practice Buddhism and practice Buddhism meditation? What do you think? The answer is because the purpose of Buddhism is an insight into the nature of reality. And that insight uncovers true happiness and true suffering. So the purpose of Buddhism, the purpose of meditation, why we have these teachings, is to help people find happiness and avoid suffering. This is why Buddhism is about the meaning of life, because it's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to have less problems, everybody wants to find happiness. And Buddhism promises you that if you practice this path fully, you will find the highest happiness that is possible to find. This is the promise. So in other words, it promises you the answer to the meaning of life. That is what it promises you. So if you want happiness, Buddhism is a good place to start. If you want happiness, meditation is helpful if you are wise about your meditation. Don't be blind. Don't just sit down and meditate stupidly. Be wise about it. Then it will be something very powerful and useful in your life. What is Buddhist meditation? Well, it is sitting back, relaxing, enjoying yourself, enjoying the peace, allowing the mind to become calm. Yeah? Two things that are the hallmarks of Buddhist meditation: calm and clear seeing. Yesterday I said calm and happiness, but calm and clear seeing is called samatha and vipassana. These are the hallmarks of a good meditation. So if your meditation works, then this is what happens, yeah? You become calmer and calmer and calmer. You have more and more clarity, see things more and more clearly. Yeah? These two things arise together in meditation practice. So if you want to be a peaceful person, if you want to have insight into the nature of reality, if you want to see things clearly, if you don't want to be deluded and stupid, this is what you need to do. That's why we practice Buddhist meditation. Yeah, it's very powerful. It is literally about the meaning of life. Most people, they spend their time in the world running around, pursuing all of these pleasures here, pleasures there, but never really experiencing true calm and true insight. Then they get reborn and carry on the same in the future. Here we're trying to do something deeper. We're trying to achieve wisdom. We're trying to achieve something more profound. It's very, I don't know, it's just so attractive. Why would anyone do anything else? This is what I don't get. Anyway, people still do it even if I don't get So, okay, so I hope that helps. And if you still don't understand, then try again tomorrow. One last chance tomorrow. Dear Ajahn, in the present chaotic situation in Hong Kong, as a Buddhist, should we stand out and denounce violence or other conduct of hatred, or should we continue to retreat into our meditation? In this morning's Dharma talk, you told us not to be a doer. How to do it in our daily practice. Okay, yes, I think it's always good to denounce violence. And maybe not denounce it, but try to argue peacefully and kindly against it. We should not support bad actions, and it doesn't matter which side those bad actions come from. We shouldn't say that it's okay if the protesters are violent, but not okay if the police is violent. And nobody should be violent, whether you are a protester or you are the police. And we should all try to care for each other. We may disagree, but we shouldn't hurt each other. That's the problem. So please do. Please say what you need to say. If you feel there is an opportunity, if you feel there is a chance to have some influence in the world, use that. This is kind of what you do as a monk. Yeah? If someone asks you what should we do in this situation, you try to give some advice which is useful. If you're going to demonstrate, do it peacefully. If you're going to be a police officer, be a kind police officer. Yeah? This is the kind of advice you would give as a monk. As a monk, you don't try not to take sides, especially on a political issue like you have here in Hong Kong. If you take sides, straight away you lose half the people because they're going to disagree with you. So taking sides is always a bad idea, especially on political issues. Instead, you teach the Dhamma. That is the right way as a monk always. If everyone adheres to Dhamma, there wouldn't be many problems. So do, yeah? Act. Don't do in your meditation, but in your ordinary life, please do. But do wisely. Don't just do out of habit, don't do out of hatred, out of anger. Do because there is a possibility, an opportunity to have some good impact on society. Right now, Hong Kong needs people with a balanced mind. There's too much anger. This is what feeling I get when I talk to people. Too much anger right now. And of course, you can understand why people are angry. It makes sense. Yeah? When you have these problems, anger arises. So you forgive them their anger, but you don't add fuel to the fire. You stay cool and you say, listen, maybe this is the wrong way of doing this. Let's be more cool about this. How can we resolve this issue in a more peaceful way? Be a voice of reason in all the anger. Then you are helping the Hong Kong society. In fact, you're helping the whole world if you act like that. So be an actor, but be a wise actor in your life. And if you are a wise actor, you will continue to build up good karma. And when you continue to build up good karma, your meditation will also prosper as a consequence. If you just stop doing it, then you won't make any good karma. Then your meditation may, in fact, never take off because of that. Dear Ajahn Brahmāli, I have seen many people associate with good people and studied true teachings for many years. However, they have no significant uplifting in personality and spirituality. Is that only in theory level and haven't practiced the Dhamma in life? Thank you. Well, this is the problem. Practicing the Dhamma is quite challenging. Yeah? You have to really commit. You have to persevere. You have to know what you are doing. You have to be wise. You have to reflect on what is going on. It is not something which is just automatic. So you can listen to these teachings, but sometimes the teachings are too theoretical. I know so many people that go to Abhidhamma classes and listen to Abhidhamma, and all it does is mess with your head. And afterwards you feel really tired, all these concepts and ideas running in your mind, and it's not very practical. I don't understand why people study the Abhidhamma, but they still do. Yeah. I remember I was in Malaysia a couple of years ago. I was in KL. We have a group that we're very closely associated with in KL. And they have this beautiful big building there, which they call the Buddhist Fellowship. Very nice people. Very good people. But I was teaching Dhamma for a week. They invited me for these 9-day retreats or whatever, teaching Dhamma all the time. There was kind of a large group coming, maybe 50 people, something coming to my little retreat. And sometimes they really squeeze you dry. Yeah, they really have this really demanding schedule. And I was kind of trying to kind of not feel completely exhausted. I kind of wiping the sweat from my brow every day. But so, and then one day I said, oh no, tonight there's no class. Why? Because there's an Abhidhamma class this afternoon instead. So they had to cancel my class and have the Abhidhamma class instead. And this Abhidhamma class, I was really jealous, because this Abhidhamma class, many more people came to the Abhidhamma class. Here, I give them a really good grounding, early Buddhist teaching, the real teaching of the Buddha, and more people come to the Abhidhamma class. I wanted to go out and say, listen, you guys, you don't understand. Why listen to these things? And also, the Abhidhamma was very loud. Yeah, it was on a big loudspeaker, and I was sitting next door trying to relax and rest for the fall. I couldn't rest because the Abhidhamma was so loud. Oh, the dukkha. I was forced to listen to Abhidhamma teachings, which I didn't want to listen to. Oh, that was one of the worst days in the last 2 years, I think. But what was interesting is that some of those people who went to those Abhidhamma classes also came to some of those other teachings, to my teachings, and they gave up the Abhidhamma teaching and came, to the real Buddhism later on. So people are different. People change, and so I lost completely my track now. What I'm supposed to reply to that. But the problem is, people sometimes are attracted to all the theory and to all these theoretical things, and they don't actually do practical things. And Abhidhamma is one of those problems, too theoretical. It's actually hard to really focus on the spiritual life 100%. And one reason why it is so hard is because so many of the forces in society go in a different direction. As soon as you leave this Kadura center, you go back to the world, all your friends say, come, let's go out and drink and have a good time. Come. I don't know if any of you are like that, but maybe you are. I don't know. And, let's make money. Status is important. Let's make sure we get everything right. And so much in this world pulls you in a different direction, away from the spiritual life. It's difficult. It's hard to keep your mind set on this one thing, which is so important. No wonder we're not making progress, Sometimes as a monk, it is difficult enough to make progress, let alone as a layperson. Actually, when I think back to my monastic life, think back to what I was like 25 years ago, I'd like to say, I'm very glad you didn't know me 25 years ago, because, I'm not going to talk about what I was like back then, because it's embarrassing. Yes, I'm glad you can only see me now, but still now it's kind of okay, hopefully it goes even further. But I can see big change in those 25 years, moving up, gradually changing. And that has to do with one thing, commitment and perseverance on this path. But you always have to investigate it. You always have to ask yourself, why am I not making progress? How can I reduce my ill will and anger? How can I reduce any other problems in the mind so as to improve my meditation practice? You have to be brutally honest with yourself and really commit to it. Every day in the morning when you go out into the street, you say, okay, I'm going to be kind today. Do a bit of meditation in the morning just to calm yourself down, so you have more metta when you go into the world outside, more ability to be kind with people. Remember, everyone is suffering. Everyone has problems in the world. When someone is nasty to you, it's probably because they have a bad day. It's probably because they had a bad upbringing. Probably because they had a bad past life. It's probably because worldly phenomena are such that this person has to say bad things today. This is how you do it. But you'd have to really commit to it. Then it works. And this is the problem. The vast majority of Buddhists don't really commit fully. They don't really take the practice seriously enough. And that's why they don't make any progress. And they kind of stagnate. Nothing really happens. So it is a demanding path, but it's not, you don't have to be very intelligent or anything. You don't have to be super duper smart to do this. All you have to do is to be committed. So anyone can do it. That's the nice thing about the Buddhist path. Okay, dear Ajahn, question, 3 questions on 1 page. That's cheating, that's really Okay. Number 1, what is the outcome of meditation practice? Thank you very much. 2 outcomes, samatha. Outcome number 2, vipassana. Most people think there's 2 types of meditation. One type is called samatha meditation, one type is vipassana meditation. Actually, the Buddha doesn't say that. This is a modern invention. In In the sutras, there's only one type of meditation. That type of meditation has two outcomes, samatha and vipassana. All you have to do is watch the breath, you get samatha and vipassana. I just want to make that clear because it's a common misunderstanding in my opinion. Number two, what teachings or which sutras can we follow to overcome Hong Kong issues? You have to look at the Hong Kong Sutta, yeah? The Hong Kong Sutta, the Buddha, where the Buddha predicts the future. We have to write that sutta. I don't think it has been written yet. We had some kind of smart aleck Buddhist who can write the Hong Kong Sutta, how to deal with Hong Kong issues. So which sutta can you read? Read the Agata Pataviniya Sutta. You know that one? You know the Agata Pataviniya Sutta? No? You know that one. You know that one? Because you're from Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a well-known sutta. This sutta is found in the Anguttara Nikaya, Numerical Discourses, number 5, number 163, I think it is, because this is a beautiful sutta about how to overcome anger and how to let go of any resentment and any negativity in your mind. It's a wonderful sutta, very practical. This is the kind of sutta you need now to overcome Hong Kong issues. Actually, it's not really Hong Kong, it's a universal issues, yeah, but right now it's a bit bad in Hong Kong. Go on the internet, go to suttacentral.net, suttacentral.net, yeah? Go to Anguttara Nikaya, or if you like, Numerical Discourses. The Numerical Discourses are divided into 5 collections. The 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, and the 11s. Go to the 5s. From the 5s, go to Sutta 163. Yeah? That's where you find it. And then next year, come back and tell me you have read the sutta. Usually you tell people and they still don't read the sutta. You give them all the information they need and still don't do it. Because maybe you feel unfamiliar with Sutta Central. But if you want, I can show you where it is. So bring your, don't bring your iPhone or your mobile phone today, but bring it tomorrow after everything is finished and I will point it out to you exactly where it is. Read that sutta. Listen to Dhamma explanations of it. I love that sutta. I explain it all the time, except for this retreat, unfortunately, but usually all the time. Maybe we have a day of kindfulness coming up. We do that sutta on the day of kindfulness, yeah? So come to the day, are you coming to the day of kindfulness? Yeah? Okay, so we'll go there, we'll do that sutta then. So if you haven't signed up yet, I don't know who this is, but if you haven't signed up yet, sign up. And I will explain the sutta in detail. Now that is there's marketing for you now. So, number 3, what is the reason this issue happens in Hong Kong? The reason is because you are part of the human realm. This is what happens in the human realm, in the story. It's as simple as that, yeah? There isn't any reason why it happens in Hong Kong. This is humanity. This is nature. This is what I've been trying to say all the time, yeah? This is the nature of things. Things are out of control. It is not happening in Hong Kong for any particular reason. You're part of the human realm. That's why it's happening here. This is what you can expect in the human realm. Maybe you think that's a terrible outlook, but actually no. Once you take that on board, you start to understand the importance of the spiritual life. That is why the spiritual life is important, because the world is out of control. Think about this. Yeah? These are deep truths. They are very important and deep truths. And as you understand this, the spiritual life becomes incredibly powerful, useful, and escape from all of these problems and all the Hong Kong issues. I like that phrase, Hong Kong issues. Okay, Ajahn, thank you for your teaching. Can we chant the Metta Sutta together to send blessings all over the world? Sure, we can do that. Let's do that tomorrow as the last name. Shall we chant? Do you know the Metta Sutta in English? Does everyone know that? This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness. Da, 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 da. So yeah, we'll do that tomorrow then. And see what. It's a nice idea to send metta to everyone, so let's do that. Dear Ajahn, what is the difference between the 5 jhana factors and the 7 factors of awakening? The 5 jhana factors are the 5 ways of recognizing whether you are in jhana or not. These are like the signposts of whether you are in jhana. This is how your mind feels like in a jhana state. Yeah? Vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, and kagata. 5 jhana factors. Piti, most important things are piti and sukha. These are the powerful happiness in the mind. Ekaggata, also very important. Your mind is one-pointed on one object. Vitakka vichara just means there's a little bit of movement left in the mind. So this is how you know you are in the jhana state. 7 factors of awakening, these are the gradual building up of your meditation, moving towards jhana. So for example, in the 7 factors of awakening, you also have piti, which is also a jhana factor. Yeah? So what that means is that piti arises quite early on in your meditation. Maybe it doesn't seem early to you because many people don't get piti, but quite early on, then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger until eventually you attain the jhana state. So piti comes in many values, in many degrees. Yeah, the first piti is wonderful when you feel the piti, but you need to develop it to make it very powerful, and it becomes a jhana factor eventually. Jhana, you emerge into a jhana state. So that's the difference. So I hope that makes sense. Oh, so many questions. It's getting long now, and I'm going to carry on a little bit. But if you don't want to, you don't have to be here, you know. I'm not going to write your name in a book and say bad person if you leave. I don't even know your name or most of it anyway, so it doesn't, you know, so that's okay. Please feel free to leave if it gets too much. Can you tell what is the theories of a self in the grasping of dependent origination? Attanuvada. Well, these theories of a self, there's 2 main theories, and this is what it refers to. I did mention these things earlier on today. One is eternalism, and one is annihilationism. There come a lot of varieties around that. These are the 2 main theories of a self. So a theory of eternalism means that there is something inside of you, an inherent aspect inside of you that goes on forever. That's eternalism. Annihilationism is that there is something inside of you, a self, but when you die, it is destroyed. That's why it's called annihilationism. Both of these are wrong according to Buddhism. So they are theories of self. You're grasping onto something which is not true. You're grasping onto an idea which is a delusion. Yeah, that's the problem there. Anuvada upadana. Or attavada upadana, something like that. Dear respected Ajahn, thank you very much for the beautiful teachings. My mind is still, when I go back, proliferating, will appears again. How to stop it? You cannot stop the will. Yeah, you can only have the will disappear for short periods of time. The will be gone for a while, especially in meditation practice. And what you understand from that is the beauty of the will disappearing. When everything becomes peaceful, that is already a very powerful insight for you. Yeah, when the will starts to disappear, wow, it is so nice. And this is understanding about dukkha, understanding about the 3 characteristics. Those things that disappear, there must be dukkha if you feel better afterwards. Unfortunately, you have to go back to that dukkha again. Yeah, no choice. This is what all the Aryas, the noble people in the world do all the time, what the Buddha did. When the Buddha was teaching in the world, it was a big sacrifice for the Buddha, because the Buddha would rather just go into a cave or go into a hut and just meditate and be in jhana all the time. Much better. But he sacrificed his own happiness to be able to teach others. So it's a very noble thing, and this is true of all the great teachers in the world. Those who have attained things, they sacrifice so much of their own happiness to be able to teach others. So the same thing with you. You come here on this retreat, and for those of you who have had a good meditation, don't cling on to that good meditation, because you're going to have to go back again, and you're going to lose it. This is the way it is. It can't be any different. So learn from that. Learn something about the nature of happiness and suffering instead of clinging on to those meditation experiences. And then, next time you come back next year, or you go to a meditation retreat somewhere else, come to Jhana Grove perhaps. Jhana Grove is great because you can come for longer stays. Yeah. So Biff also arranges a night retreat at Ajahn Brahmāli every year as well. So take these opportunities where you can come on your own. You don't have to come as a group. If you like to just go by yourself, that's also possible. And gradually you Just enjoy the meditation, because you understand that is really where it is at. That is where true happiness is to be found. So unfortunately, we cannot hold on to it. That is the unfortunate reality. Okay, dear Ajahn, thank you for coming to Hong Kong. I have heard a few questions regarding the police using violence against protesters. I do not understand why these people cannot see the problem of using violence in the first place. These so-called protesters are damaging public properties and ruining our places. Why can't they see only what they want to see and can't see the whole picture? Yes, so violence is bad, regardless where it comes from. I guess that is your point, and I think we can all agree on that probably. As Buddhists, violence is always a bad idea. And if you are a protester, I think you get much more respect from the general population if you do it peacefully. If you are a policeman, you get much more respect also from people if you are a policeman in a peaceful, in a good way. So it's always true. Dear Ajahn, during the death contemplation, although you guided us to stay as simple as possible, but I cannot help to think about all the details, such as if the room has a door, if the room is round in shape, if the bed has a space underneath, if it is a steel bed or a wooden bed, what kind of lighting it is, what the lamp looks like, if there is a breathing tube or feeding or urination tube on me, what kind of disease I contracted if someone is dying in the room next door to me as well, if there is a trapdoor on my bed that could drop me straight to the incinerator once I die. What should I do? Should I just be aware of this thinking? Wow, you have a really... I'm amazed at the kind of creativity here. This is kind of astonishing. I have no idea that it was possible to think so many thoughts about this. This is kind of amazing. So this reminds me of a very famous story in the sutta. There's a very famous story in the suttas of the man. Yeah, there's a Buddhist monk, he goes to the Buddha and says, I demand, master, Sifu, I demand that you tell me, when the arahant dies, is he gonna live on? Is he gonna disappear? Is it both gonna live on, disappear? Is it neither gonna live on, disappear? Is the soul the same as the body? Is the body not the same as the soul? Is the universe eternal? Is it not eternal? Is it infinite? Is it not infinite? I demand you answer these questions, otherwise I will disrobe. And the Buddha says to him, I never told you I was going to answer these questions when you took robes, and you can't make this kind of demands. This is not part of the deal that I answer these kind of questions. The Buddha didn't say it quite like that, but it's something like that. And then the Buddha says to him, the interesting thing, he says, you are just like a person who has been shot by a poisoned arrow. And instead of pulling out the arrow, instead of going to the doctor and saying, please help me, there's a poisoned arrow in my chest, do something. Instead of doing that, you say, who made this arrow? Yeah? What are the feathers made of? Yeah? What kind of wood is this? Is the tip, is it made of this kind of metal or that kind of metal? Yeah? Where does it come from? Who shot this arrow? What kind of caste was this person? Was it tall or short? What kind of, etc., etc.? That is the wrong way, because you will die in the meantime before you have these things. This is exactly what's happening with you here. You will be dead before you get the answer to all of these questions. Don't be like the man with the poisoned arrow. Yeah, this is what you're doing here. You're about to die, for goodness sake. You're not taking it seriously enough. If you really were dying, you wouldn't give a... I can't use a bad word because I'm a monk. You wouldn't give a whatever. Yeah, you wouldn't give a whatever about all of these things. Because you would die in the meantime. You wouldn't care about all of these issues. So you didn't take it seriously enough. You weren't really dying. You weren't really there. Yeah, this is the problem. So make it more real. Next time, you are really dying. At the end of this meditation, you could be dead. Yeah, this is the point, because it actually could be true. We could all be dead before this retreat has ended. That's kind of the issue here. So you need to take it more seriously. You need to really get into it. You really need to think, I could be dead soon. That is kind of the point of this. Then it becomes urgent. Then all of this nonsense, bang, out of the window. Actually, there is no window, yeah? I forgot about that. Okay, anyway. There is no door either. Actually, maybe there is a door, I think. anyway. So that's exactly what is irrelevant. So there you are. That is what I would recommend. Dear Ajahn, can you explain the 5 precepts and how they are applied and why they are hard to apply all the time in average people's everyday life? Thank you very much. Okay, 5 precepts. Not killing living beings. This includes all living beings from mosquito all the way up to arahants. Yeah? Everyone, everything. Yeah? Number 2, not stealing. Yeah, again, this is very broad. You shouldn't really steal anything, if at all possible. So no stealing. Yeah. Third, no sexual misconduct. This means that you don't take advantage of people in sexual relationships. If you're married, you stay with that person and you don't mess around. And you certainly don't have any illicit kind of sexual things going on. Fourth one, no lying. Yeah, you don't lie. This can be difficult sometimes. Some people are in the habit of lying, but you are as truthful as you can in all situations. Sometimes telling the truth might not be right, because sometimes you can hurt people as well. So you are careful. You don't kind of, I'm going to tell you the truth. Yeah, you don't like that. Because that is using truth as a weapon. That's not the point either. But you tell the truth, generally speaking. The last one is not to use any intoxicants. No alcohol and no intoxicating drugs. That's the last one. These are the 5 precepts. And these are fundamental precepts on the Buddhist path. I would really recommend you to keep these things. In fact, this is really the minimum. Yeah? And ideally, you want to go beyond that. You want to purify your mind and all of this as well. Please keep these 5 precepts. It would be very powerful accompaniment to your practice. Why are they hard? Well, they're hard because of your bad habits. Yeah? If you are going to go to sleep at night and there's a mosquito buzzing in your room, can't sleep. There's only one solution: you've got to kill the mosquito. Now there is another solution. Remember, the mosquito wants to live. The mosquito is just there. It wants a bit of blood. It wants to be happy, just like everyone else. Okay, if you want a bit of blood, come. Yeah. Okay. Take your kind of. It's okay. It doesn't matter so much. And then when you allow the mosquito to bite you, and you don't worry about whether you get stung by one mosquito or not, then we can sleep much better afterwards. Remember, these are living beings. They feel, yeah. If you kill a mosquito, it doesn't want to die. No living being wants to die. So imagine that you are the mosquito. It comes in peace. It doesn't mean to hurt you. Then we can have compassion even for mosquitoes. Even for cockroaches. Yeah? We can have compassion in this way. This is why it is hard, because we need to reprogram ourselves a little bit. Stealing usually shouldn't be so difficult, but sometimes there are borderline cases, like maybe you want to cheat on your taxes or something like that. I wouldn't recommend you cheat on your taxes as a Buddhist. I would recommend that you do kind of the required, as long as the government is reasonable. If the government is unreasonable and they kind of take everything you own or whatever, of course, then maybe you can kind of protest a little bit, but if the government is reasonable, everybody pays a reasonable amount. If you don't pay your taxes, other people have to pay more. So it's a bit like stealing from other people in a sense. So do your duties in that area as well, if you can. Sexual misconduct is difficult because people are always driven by desire so powerfully. And I remember in a number of cases people say, oh yeah, I can keep all the precepts, but not the third one, because I have to have a mistress. Yes, I've heard this many times, and I say, all right, yeah, I guess, I understand. What can you say? Yeah, I have to have business. Okay, well, if that's what you say, they didn't ask me, should I have a business? They say, I have to have one. Okay, well, if that's the case. And, I had people told me this in absolute seriousness. It's kind of strange sometimes, the things you hear as a monk, but that's what you hear. So you have to have, okay, have a business. But if you're going to have a mistress, or if you're a woman, you're going to have a lover or whatever, make sure your partner is okay with that. Sometimes your partner may not mind, yeah? And if your partner does not mind, it's not really a problem. But if you're doing it behind their back and you're destroying your main relationship, of course, then it's going to be very painful. We create so much pain in our lives by having extramarital affairs because we know that our partner is going to hate it if they find out. And that is when the problem arises. But if your partner is kind of, some partners are okay, then it's not such a big deal because you're not hurting anyone. So it depends on the situation. Yeah? These things are more flexible than you might think. Yeah, it's about, remember, it's always, everything is about hurting others. If you're not hurting anyone, it's not a problem. Lying, yeah, lying is a very big habit sometimes among human beings, especially when you feel embarrassed about something you don't want people to know. People may ask you directly to your face, have you done this? And you kind of taken aback, yeah, you are too embarrassed to admit it, so you kind of come with some kind of vague excuse, so that's kind of borderline. Sometimes you lie outright. So it's good not to have too much pride, because pride gets in the way sometimes of truthful speech. This is why lying, not lying, can be hard, because of our pride and our sense of self. Yeah? Speech actually has many more factors to it. If you really want to purify your speech, you should do much more than just not lying. You should also avoid divisive speech. You know, telling other people, yeah, those people over there, they're really bad, yeah, don't go have anything to do with them. You are dividing people apart by saying bad things about some people in the company of others, especially if it is untruthful, it's really bad. You stop doing that sort of thing. Instead, you try to understand people instead. Okay, the police, okay, maybe you don't like the police right now because they're doing bad things. Maybe you don't like the protesters, yeah? People have different views. So if you don't like the police, remember, okay, they are, from their understanding, they're doing their best, yeah? From their limited, we're all limited in a certain way. They're trying to do what they think is right. They are told by people higher up, act in this way. Some of them are perhaps on power trips because they have been brought up in a bad way. Who knows? But they are somehow, they are trying to do the right thing. They are conditioned this way. Have compassion for them. If you believe the protesters are too violent, remember the protesters too. They are trying somehow to do what is right. Yeah? They are fearful of what is happening to Hong Kong. They think it is going down the drain. What is going to happen with Hong Kong? Yeah, it's going the wrong way. They are afraid. Have compassion for the protesters. Have compassion for the police. Try to understand. Bring people together. It is a very divided society right now. So bring people together instead, and you're doing something beautiful. Third aspect of right speech is about harsh speech. Don't be harsh to people. Don't swear and yell at people. Gentle speech is the right way. Speech that goes to people's heart. Yeah? You know, some people, they speak in a very gentle and kind way, and you feel good in the presence. This is the kind of speech you want to give. Last one is speech, not idle chatter, but meaningful speech. Yeah, the idle chatter is kind of talking about all kind of nonsense, which is really irrelevant. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be friendly with people, you shouldn't. You talk a little bit, yeah, or the weather is nice or whatever, yeah, but you don't kind of go on about gossip, you know, or idle chatter for long periods of time. Instead, you're more interested in Dhamma. You're interested in meaningful things. So these are the four aspects of right speech. So, as I said, 5 precepts not really enough. You need to expand out to incorporate other aspects of morality. Then there's the last one, which is drinking alcohol and taking intoxicating drugs. I would recommend you to avoid that altogether. This is the least important of the 5 precepts. It's the one we see the least. And the reason is because in itself, drinking is not such a big issue. It's more about how it makes you act and live in the world. Yeah? That is the biggest problem. But it's also about the habits that you create. We create habits of liking alcohol. You create habits of getting addicted to drugs. Of course, getting addicted to drugs is a very bad idea, because that really makes you crazy. Yeah? It really makes you do all kind of bad things. But addiction to alcohol can have similar kind of, obviously, problems. So it's not such a big issue, but I would recommend people, the Buddha advised it. If the Buddha is advised it, how can we not take it seriously? We have to take it seriously. So that too is a good thing to do. It's not that hard to do. Yeah, if you hang out with the right people, or if you hang out with the wrong people, say, yeah, you know, I'm just kind of doctor's order. This is one of those tricks to kind of get out of drinking. If there's pressure for you to drink, say, doctor's orders, can't drink yet. Who's the doctor? The Buddha is the doctor. Yeah. So don't tell them it's the Buddha, just tell them doctor's orders, and you're okay. It's kind of stretching the truth a little bit, but it's okay. It's for a good cause in that particular case. So this is what I recommend you to do. I recommend this very strongly. Yeah, try as the very best as you can to follow these things. These things are really significant. And you will inspire a lot of people in the world by keeping these things. You're going to become a better person. other people will notice. You will inspire others. Why is it that the Buddha is so inspiring? Because of so much kindness. Everybody wants to do the same thing. Why is that great Buddhists in the present day are so inspiring? Many people are inspired by the Dalai Lama, yeah? Who is, actually, he's quite impressive in many ways, Dalai Lama. He doesn't, he is not really violent, he is not really, he never really says bad things about anyone. He has a lot of conflict with the Chinese government, of course. It's a very conflicted relationship between the Chinese government and the Dalai Lama. But the Dalai Lama is pretty cool about it. He reacts to these things in a good way. So I'm quite impressed with him, the way he acts. He's an inspiration for many people around the world. And there's many monks and nuns like that, and lay people as well like that in the world. There are some lay people who are much better than the vast majority of monks and nuns. And I find it very inspiring when I see lay people practicing so well, being so kind, getting such powerful meditation, and there are people right here, who get this kind of meditation. What a wonderful thing that is. So keep it up. We all become inspirations for each other. We all become causes to help each other to live the good life and then reap the positive consequences from that. Okay. Dear Ajahn, please kindly explain how to radiate loving kindness during the metta meditation. Okay? So we will do that tomorrow. Radiate just means that you spread it out to the whole world. That's what it means. You don't block it. You don't say, I will give it to everyone except for this one. You don't say that. You give it out to everyone. The list of people sending loving kindness is exhaustive. Myself, Dhamma teachers, family, friends, etc. Is there a condensed version if time is short? Yes, there is a condensed version. I will do the condensed version tomorrow. You don't do anything to yourself, don't do anything to Dhamma teach, don't do anything. You just do it to the various directions. That's the way I like to do this. So we'll try it out tomorrow and see if it works for you. Some people find this works better than doing it to people. I have trouble sending loving kindness to people I have problems with. How do you overcome this barrier? So one of the interesting things in the suttas, we notice how I always talk about the suttas. That is the right approach. Always go back to the suttas. What does the Buddha have to say about this? Now, one of the things that he has to say, this is in the Kakachupama Sutta, Symphony of the Soul, Majjhima, middle length saying number 21. And the Buddha is talking to a fellow called Molya Paguna. It's a fellow who is spending too much time with the nuns. If you're a monk, you see the nuns a little bit, you don't spend too much time with the nuns. And so he says to this Molya Paguna, talking about loving kindness meditation, because he gets very angry. Someone criticized the nuns, and because he's a good friend of the nuns, he gets angry when other people criticize the nuns. That is not the right way. So loving kindness comes from that. So how is it done? And what is interesting, because this fellow is angry against someone else, the Buddha says the first thing you should do is to neutralize the anger that you have towards someone else. So in your case, the first thing you should do in this particular case is to have loving kindness to the person you find difficult. This is the first person. So, in other words, you learn to rethink how you think about this person. You think about them in a new way. At the very least, you have compassion towards them. So you have neutralized that anger, that negativity, whatever it is that you have towards them. And once that is neutralized, then you're opening up the possibility of having loving kindness for the whole world, all the directions. Start off with the people who are difficult. Neutralize those. If you find it hard, you know which people are difficult in your life. Think about them again and again and again. How can I think about this person in a new way? What are their good qualities? Can I focus on the good qualities? If you can't see the good qualities, be compassionate about them, because someone who has only good and bad qualities, by golly, they need a lot of compassion, because they're going to go to a bad destination if they have really bad qualities. In this way, you can always have either loving kindness or compassion towards everyone. So neutralize this person first of all, then go on to the loving kindness. This is the ideal. We cannot afford to have enemies as Buddhist practitioners. Cannot really have any enemies at all. If you have one enemy, it's one enemy too many. You can die tomorrow. How can you afford to have an enemy? Can't have that. If other people want to be your enemy, it's their problem. You cannot afford to be other people's enemy. Coming from you. So embrace everybody. Embrace the people who are your sworn enemies. Embrace the people who are treating you badly. Embrace everyone. You don't have to be with them. You don't have to talk with them because that might be too hard. But you should ideally forgive them in your heart, regardless. Okay. 2 more questions only. So there is an end here. I thought this was going to be endless. This is one of those questions the Buddha had: is the world endless or is it stopped? I thought for a while it might be endless, but now we are coming to the end, fortunately. So it's good. This question arises from death contemplation meditation that we had last night. It was a peaceful setting that you have set up. However, normally some deaths are not like this. It is coupled with pain, crying, noises of equipments. How can one think of letting go in good qualities of one's life at that time, especially when death is so sudden, like in a car accident? Very true, yeah, it is very difficult. The point of this exercise is not so much to necessarily, it's only one way of dying, and people die in a hospital bed. Yeah, maybe a minority of people even die that way. I'm not sure. Actually, probably quite a lot of people die like that because of old age and illnesses. But a lot of people also die in accidents. So the point of this exercise is not necessarily to be realistic. The point is just to have some way of approaching death. And once you have the idea of death, then if you develop this idea, sometimes all you have to do is remind yourself, I'm going to die, and straight away you become peaceful. Yeah, because you know that the process of death entails this letting go experience. So if you die in a car accident, what happens is that you will have to live on the good qualities that you have built up in this life. If you have done the death contemplation, you will actually be able to use it even in the car accident. Why is that? Because death is never really absolutely sudden. If you are in a car accident, yeah, it may take a while before you die. Very often it does. It doesn't happen straight away. And even if the physical body dies very quickly, it takes a while before the mind detaches from that physical body, even when it is kind of basically dead. And then you have the intermediate existence afterwards, when also you have a time to reflect on what is going on. There's always time to reflect, regardless of how you die. Yeah? So that meditation we did before, that way of thinking about death, is always going to be useful for you, regardless of what happens. So even though that wasn't really the main purpose of the guided meditation, still, it will come in useful when you die. Okay, last question for tonight. Yay! It's actually nice to share the Dharma. I don't mind so much, but there comes a point when maybe this is just right. Yeah, the last one now. I have read an inspiring story from a sutta before. The king of the Devas found many Devas were missing. The king surveyed the universe and found that the missing Devas were reborn in hell. The king of Devas consulted the Buddha. The Buddha said that the Devas accumulated good merits and became Devas, but after all the good merits came to an end, the bad karma surfaced and brought them to be reborn in hell. The teaching tells us that accumulating good merits is not the path to ending suffering. The only way to end suffering is to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. I would like to read this sutta again, but I forget which sutta it is. Do you know how I can find this sutta story? You think I'm some kind of dictionary. Just ask me, and then you find the sutta. Actually, this story is not from the suttas. This is not found in the suttas. I know, because I have read all the suttas, unless my memory is getting really bad, which is possible. But I don't think this story is found in the suttas. It's probably found in something which is on the edge of the suttas, yeah? A kind of, maybe from a commentary, something which people call a sutta, but actually isn't really a sutta. That's my guess. Because certainly all the devas missing, all going to hell, there is no such thing in the 4 main Nikayas. But still, the point still remains, yeah, that it is possible to be reborn from Deva straight into the hell realm. It's very unlikely, because once you are in the hell realm, your qualities are going to be quite good, and it's very unlikely you will suddenly go straight to hell, because it takes a lot of anger and ill will and hatred to go to hell. You can't go to hell just like that. So it is very unlikely, but it is possible perhaps in very special circumstances, but not something that is likely to happen. So I'm afraid I cannot help you with this, because I simply don't think this was ever said by the Buddha in quite this way. But roughly similar teachings were spoken by the Buddha. Okay, so you are really squeezing me dry on this retreat. No energy left, and wiped out. When I come back to Perth, I'm going to tell Ajahn Brahmāli, in Hong Kong, they really go for it. Now I need 2 days of just kind of going back to my cutie and chilling. Is that okay? And Ajahn Brahmāli said, no, work hard, come back. No, it's always nice. One of the things about the Dharma is it's always inspiring. It always gives you more energy than you pull out. So it's wonderful to be able to do this. But now, let us pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha again. And then have a good night's rest, and we'll see you back again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.